Good morning to all of you and welcome to the first seminar of our project SkillSea, a project which is about future-proof skills for the maritime transport sector. My name is Diederik Jansen. I'm chairing the project SkillSea and I will introduce you to the meeting. SkillSea is a project which is financed through the Erasmus Plus program from the European Union. It has a duration of 4 years, started at the 1st of January 2019 and it will last till the end of December next year. The project is coordinated by the STC group in the Netherlands, and the consortium which is running the project involves 27 partners from 16 countries. Just in short, the core objectives of SkillSea are to foster cooperation between the industry, education and training and the relevant authorities, to develop a strategy for future-proof, adaptable and attractive education and training, to provide for appropriate skills, and to ensure a skills sustainability strategy. I will shortly introduce the presenters of this morning. The first presenter is Hans-Peter Hildre, who is the head of the Department of Ocean Operations and Civil Engineering at the Norwegian University of Science and Technology. The second speaker will be Madam Eileen Dorothea-Kragesand, who is working at CIMAC for already 12 years as an associate professor. She is participating in numerous projects on education and competence developments such as MARCOMP and the Northern Maritime University. The last speaker is Ms. Aline Prilipko from the UK, who has over 13 years of professional experience in the maritime industry, of which the last 8 years in maritime education, training and certification. She currently holds the position of Curriculum Manager Nautical Science in the Fleetwood Nautical Campus. There are a number of general rules for the seminar. We are, for your information, with approximately 100 participants. Obviously, due to the fact that we have speakers in different countries, some delays may occur when changing screens, so please be patient. Please feel free to ask all your questions via the chat. At the end of the seminar, there's a short time for answers from the speakers. And finally, all presentations will be put on the SkillSea website, including this introduction. At last, would you know more? There's a number of addresses. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Diederik. I will present work package 1 in the SkillSea project. Digitalization, automation and new environmental requirements are changing the maritime industry. The maritime professionals, education and training needs to keep up with these changes and try to anticipate the future maritime professional role. We have made 2 research documents, and from these documents we have made several summaries of these research papers. The first one is the current skill needs. What is the need we can see now? The second one is the future skill needs in long-term period in 2030, 2040, 2050. I will use most of the time on the long-term skill needs. First, we did a survey about the current skill needs. And about 40% of the people we asked in Europe, it was about 1,600 persons, 40% claimed that they are overburdened with obsolete knowledge as a part of their education. And only 20% told that they did not have obsolete knowledge in education. And even more, 55% replied that important topics are missing and less than 20% claimed that there was no important missing topics. I think this is a very strong message that STCW is not enough in the future type of education. Something additional is needed. This is the summary of the current skill needs. It was also a need for more about maritime economy, maritime law, and ship technologies, in addition to green skills, digital skills, and also transversal skills, because it was a need to shift from crew on board a ship to more onshore type of positions. We call that transversal skills. Let's have a look into future skill needs. What does the future bring us? Then we have been doing a variety of different investigations how to state the future needs. First of all, we are studying key trends shaping the future. And from that point, we have done technology forecast, digital transformation and sustainability. We have done trend analysis of the labor market and demographics, and then into voices of the maritime experts from the industry, and then future learning technologies. And we have been making a summary of all these different investigations into future working environment and skill needs. First, the key trends shaping the future. First of all, shipping volume is growing. The second major thing is, of course, 50% reduction in emission by the 2050. And it looks like these numbers will be even more strict in the future. 50% is not enough, and most countries and most fleets are going for much stronger demands. And it is more training is needed to improve safety in operation, first of all, with very close relation to automation and autonomy. I will be back to that. Also, port cities will compete to become leading logistics. The business element in the maritime industry will also change the landscape. Let's have a look at the technology forecast. And a very important part is the growth of maritime communication. The connectivity between the ship and shore-based organization, ship owner, and everybody else is growing very, very fast. These are going to change the business. Just in 7 years, it is expected a growth of 6, 7, 8 times. So this is a major change in the industry. The second thing is autonomy. IMO has stated 4 different levels of autonomy. Level 1, that is just increased automation. Level 2, it is still seafarers on board the ship, but it is remotely controlled and it is autonomy, level of autonomy. Level 3, then it is without seafarers on board. It is controlled remotely. Level 4, it is no seafarers on board and it is fully autonomy. What we can see from these levels is that if you're having a graph from 2022 to 2040, we will see a lot of growth in level 1, increased automation, and we will see also a huge growth of remotely controlled ships. But if you're talking about ships without seafarers, the growth will be much, much slower. And fully autonomous ship will not be without any people on board will have a slow growth. But it is an important change in the industry, of course. So the major area of growth will be this remote support and a kind of distributed maritime capabilities. The second technology changes is use of technology as digital twins. And because of this very close connectivity between the ship and land-based organization, it is a huge development of digital twins, a twin of the ship that is digital to do a number of analyses, number of simulation of the situation on board. And of course, such connectivity also demand attention to cybersecurity. We have made a lot of summaries of these different things. I will not go into all of them, but you can look into this on the PowerPoints if you need more information, and also the reports are available. But of course, it is need for basic digital skills, but also a deep understanding of very complex automation systems on board. And this border between and handling very complex digital systems will be very important. And I can show you a video of one of these research and activities of real business of a zero emission, fully autonomous ship in Norway that will be in operation early next year. This is a ship that you can see this red line, that is the transportation between two harbors, 40,000 journeys a year. And today all the transportation is by truck, and now it is a new solution for a ship doing this journey only between these harbors, 100% electric, 100% autonomous, without any people on board. And even the loading and disloading is done fully autonomous. So here you can see the route, and here you can see the loading, and everything is done automatically. And the ship are of course instrumented heavily so it can do this journey in a safe way. So this will be in operation from early next year actually. Okay. Of course, it will be a control center, shore center, doing all this investigation and control of this activity. So the captain and the chief engineer will sitting in room like this. And of course, since it is between two fixed harbors, also service and repair will be done on these harbor positions. The next technology forecast is about sustainability and decarbonizing the fleet. And here you can see two different developments from 2020 to 2050. This is from DNG, Maritime Forecast to 2050, the latest report. And of course, if the electricity is not that expensive, it will be a development that is, you can see from in the left. Heavy oil fuel will be quitted already in 2040, 10% heavy oil fuel in 2040, and we can see a growth of LNG and a growth of variety of fuels in the future. But you can see that in 2050 to have zero emissions, ammonia will be a significant part of this, if the electricity will be cheap enough in 2050. The second, the other scenario is shown to the right, if the electricity will be very expensive, this will be more biofuel, biomethanol type of development. What we can see that in the future we will have a huge variety of new fuels and so on. Just now we can see LNG has a huge order book of LNG fuel ships. That will have a lot of impact in the next 5-10 years. The order book of new LNG ships is 365. It is 10% of the order book of new ships at present. The consequence of this is that the crew have to understand a variety of risk related to different fuels and energy sources. And it will be an operation of very complex hybrid low zero emissions machineries on board. And we will see all these variations on board the ships. So new skills are really needed. Regarding future skill needs, we can see that it is a huge lack of officers in the years to come. It is a lack of 18,000 STCW certificate officer every year the next 5 years. The next thing I will mention is this future skill needs and with respect to globalization and trend analysis. You can see it to the right, 8 of the harbors or clusters in the world are located in Europe. Europe is very strong in maritime activity. I will first of all mention Hamburg, Athens, London, Oslo, Copenhagen and Rotterdam. That is very, very strong maritime clusters that are able to develop new skills, new competencies, and so on. Please read this document to go into deep understanding of how these clusters and how important they will be to develop new skills and new activities. Then finally, we have done activities to find the future skill needs by the voices of maritime experts. We have in-depth semi-structured interviews of 5 visionaries, and we have also interviews of 12 maritime experts, and we have 3 different focus groups, different places in Europe. I will just give a very short summary of this. The first one is from DNV in Hamburg, and they are very focused that the future fleet will continually communicate with manager, perhaps even traffic control system that is continually monitoring vessel position, maneuvers and speed. Fleet managers will be able to analyze this data, enabling them to advise the captain and crew on navigation, weather patterns and fuel consumption and so on. We can see this very strong connection between activities on sea and land-based operations. And the second one focus very much about how the people on board the ship can handle very, very complex digital systems on board. This is very brief introduction to these activities. I will skip some of this. We have key findings of the focus groups as well. And one of the key findings there is very hard and very challenging to recruit new seafarers, and a very complete career path is needed to attract young European talents. So these clusters are actually very important. Also, learning methods is changing a lot. We have cloud computing, and even Wärtsilä and Kongsberg is now developing new type of simulators and simulator centers that is online. COVID-19 have learned us online teaching, online learning, on-the-job training, and so on. I will ramp this up by merging all this input. We have split this in 5 areas. Green shipping demands new skill needs. Digital technology as well. Innovation in cluster is important to create these new skills in addition to STCVW needed skills. And very important, this sea land mobility is very important to talent attractiveness, and also bringing this type of skills into land-based organizations. I will not go into all these details, but I have a very short takeaway from you to you. Distributed maritime capabilities is something very important to look into. And also this sea land mobility is a key type of skills that is needed in the future. Thank you very much, Didrik.
You can start, Elin. Please share your presentation with us.
Thank you, and good morning. My name is Elin Krause-Sand from CIMAC, and I'm to give you a short presentation of the SkillSea Toolbox Design Guide, which has formed the basic structure for the SkillSea educational packages. Based on the findings of the research you've just heard described, the SkillSea project is committed to develop a number of educational packages to bridge the identified gaps and supply education for maritime professionals. To ensure that the educational packages would be transparent and recognizable for the project partners, as well as for external stakeholders, we sought a common ground, a structure and a vocabulary to share. As you see, the partnership covers most of Europe, East, West, South and North. And any lecturer or teacher or instructor is able and knows how to create a course, a syllabus or an educational program. But we all follow different standards, and this should explain the need for a common guide, a design guide, to be shared. For example, if we look at the qualification framework, the EU has developed the European qualification framework, but most of us still work by our national qualification framework. So the initial discussion for us began when we tried to find out how we could do something that we could all share. So we started out collecting and comparing procedures and for developing curricula and educational programs from the partners involved in developing these educational packages, in search of a best practice, if there was something we could share. And among the many inputs we gathered, a sort of a pattern emerged, because we all deal with the same things when it comes to designing syllabus and courses. The design guide is divided in and covers 3 steps: the curriculum, the course description, and an evaluation of the courses. In the curriculum, we find the learning objectives, and they are, of course, they spring from the skills needs we want to cover. The target group, the group of seafarers or maritime professionals, as Hans-Peter said, we also want to support the mobility from sea to land. So we cover both, or we cover maritime professionals both ashore and at sea. The entry requirements, what do the target group need to know before they can enter this course? Are there any special requirements? And that will, of course, be a result or a consequence of the learning outcome. The learning outcome or the intended learning outcome, the teaching methods, the teaching material, and the assessment method is what we spend most time on, and what is thoroughly explained in the design guide. When we look at the design guide and the interdependency of the learning, the intended learning outcomes, the teaching methods, and the assessment methods, they are the three key elements of a structured alignment. The illustration is developed by Biggs and Tang. It's used by the CDFOP, and now also in what we call the SkillSea Toolbox Design Guide. So, when it comes to learning outcomes, we locally use different descriptors for learning outcomes. Some of us talk about knowledge, skills, and attitude. Others about knowledge, understanding, and behavior. And again, others of knowledge, skills, and competences. And it's all part of our national frameworks. But as the SkillSea project aims at supporting mobility horizontally as well as vertically, we have chosen to use the European qualification framework descriptors. That is knowledge, skills, responsibility, and autonomy. We also use the unambiguous description of learning outcomes, and we use active words to describe the intended learning outcome. Also, this is origins from the CDFOP project. When it comes to teaching methods or delivery methods, the design guide presents a series of examples. What I show you here is just a short cut from the presentation of the different delivery methods you will find in the design guide. This is addressing the online teaching methods with strengths and weaknesses to be balanced against each other. In the design guide, there's examples from the different educational packages developed by the SkillSea project partners. And this section will be updated as the last educational packages are completed and piloted. The past years have shown us and forced us all to use online teaching methods, which is also reflected in the educational packages. Online delivery methods and simulations, as already mentioned by Hans-Peter, is very a great part of the teaching methods. As the idea of constructive alignment demands consistency between learning objectives, teaching and assessment methods. The design guides offers an example of how the assessment method should mirror the learning outcome. Here you see part of a table showing different learning objectives and how they may be assessed, or it may be assessed how the students have achieved the learning outcomes. What we see here is only part of the table, and it's regarding the written tests. Yes. Toolbox, the design guide includes a toolbox template which presents the different sections of the design guide. It's used while developing the SkillSea educational packages. It shows the headlines of the design guide sections, and it may be used as a checklist or a shortcut when designing new courses, but also when adapting or adjusting courses to comply with national regulation, or a course if it is desired to be delivered to different levels of students, or if there's a demand for new skills. The elements of the toolbox may be changed and updated. Attention is drawn to the fact that the elements are, if one element is changed, it may affect the others. The toolbox design it aims at very flexible and adaptable courses, and every time you want to or use them for new projects, new courses, they may be used as by the developers or by whoever wants to use some of the SkillSea educational packages. You will find the design guide explain how what is meant, or the rationale behind the different elements of the toolbox. It also should provide a flexibility in the use of the courses, and a transparency for all stakeholders to understand what and how this course can the knowledge and the skills and which the course attendants or the students may have achieved during the course. And finally, the SkillSea Toolbox Design Guide may be accessed at the SkillSea EU webpage. Thank you.
Good morning, colleagues. Lovely to see you all here today. So I'm taking our conversation a bit further, and based on outcomes of the work package 1 and skills that we identified are in the need both presently and in future, and also based on our sort of inquiry into what would that common framework of education across Europe would look like, we embarked into the journey, very adventurous I must say, of designing those educational packages. And in my presentation today, I will talk about those and explain those a little bit more. I will start with telling why you might consider or might wish to look at the SkillSea packages, what are sort of benefits or what are the opportunities it presents to all of you. I will briefly provide an overview of all the educational packages that the project is intending to produce. And to give you a bit better feeling for what those packages look like, I will demonstrate the 3 that I have selected. One would be digital skills, which we titled Digital Seafarer. The second one would be green skills, which is related more to how we operate vessels on operational levels. How do we environmentally operate environmentally friendly vessels? And the last one would be about the maritime cybersecurity. So why SkillSea? Why would you think that, or why would you possibly can find benefits of using the SkillSea? There's a number possibly of advantages or of benefits of having a look at those. I think me, myself, being an educator, working as a curriculum manager, designing educational programs for various levels, and also delivering and teaching some of the courses. I constantly attend those webinars, and like you today, and attend various conferences where all the future trends of the sector where we are in are discussed, and I walk away from those meetings thinking, so what? So what does that mean for me in my modules? What does it mean for me in my units? What are the changes that potentially could happen? And I think that at times, I think that educational aspect is not necessarily discussed sufficiently. So I think that the benefits of the SkillSea is that it is going to be a package which is actually future focused. So this is something that we have developed based on the outcomes of the work package 1, and perhaps some of your lecturers might be also attending those webinars, but they may not necessarily be in the industry, or they do continuous professional update and development. However, perhaps they have not been in the sector where all these trends are being implemented right now, because some of those might be quite a limited amount of companies that are leaders in innovation, and maybe not all of them can really dive into it. So with the help of bridging between work package 1 and all those leading in the current trends companies, we hope to bridge that gap and provide some of the content which is future focused based on the latest trends and accessible to you. The second benefit I feel is the stakeholders' perspective. We all want our graduates, our students to have prosperous and very successful careers. So we want to ensure that our courses are not those 50 and something percent or 40 and something percent unrelevant, but they're relevant. They're relevant not only for students, but they're relevant for employers, that all the stakeholders in the industry that would be looking for new stuff, for resources among the manpower, that they will find that that candidate is more competitive than anybody else, that they have knowledge and skills, and for this reason we have triangulated our both stage 1 in work package when we had a look at what are the skills needed, and we're also trying to do that when we develop our packages. We open opportunities for stakeholders to comment on them, to have a look at them, and to provide their perspectives. So hopefully by the end of that we have integrated that stakeholder perspective in the educational packages, and all employers, learners, lecturers, everybody had an opportunity to validate that package. Developing a new package is not an easy, and especially future focused, it's not an easy exercise, I must say. And we struggled a lot because there were lots of unknowns that we had to answer certain questions. So part of the benefit is that by looking at this package, you will essentially have a look at what is that cooperation or collaboration result of all the European partners that are part of the SkillSea is resulted upon. So it relies on that kind of structural cooperation that we had with the various education providers, and it's not a package that developed or a module that is developed by an institution. It's been really looked at by a variety of European partners. All of the packages, by the time they will be released or will be published, they will be piloted. So that's another sort of aspect of a quality, or reassuring ourselves in the quality, that we have not only designed and developed it, but we gave it a go. Sometimes it's more than one time, more than one group, and across various countries and jurisdictions. So as a result, the package gets a good testing. And last but not least, for those who are really entering the classrooms and deliver lessons, there are some also lessons materials that we have prepared to supplement the course itself. You might not necessarily wish to pick them from the shelf and use, but you would agree with that. It's probably quite inspirational and quite reassuring to have a look what other educational providers did when they deliver, how they delivered, what resources and materials they have developed, and how you can maybe use that or maybe adopt and adjust to make sure that it fits your learners and their specialization. Now a bit more closer into what are the educational packages that are available within the SkillSea project and what are they all about. So we currently have a number of packages. They are all in a different stage of the development, so not all of them have fully finished and finalized. Some of them are under development right now. So for instance, we are still writing and designing and finalizing those final learning outcomes and the exact syllabus. Some of them have gone through that stage and they are under the review of an expert. Some of them been under piloting, are currently piloted, and students are attending a course that was offered based on this educational package. And some of them have been piloted already and finalized and will be available for piloting externally. So will be available for you to pick up and consider. So let me now talk you through the packages and quite briefly just summarize what each of them is a little bit about and where it comes from, sort of to give you a bit of maybe an insight. So the digital skills package, we developed it in 2 levels. So there is level 1 and level 2. Level 1, we subtitled it as a digital seafarer. So the background there is that it's quite an entry level module. So this is for a seafarer, an operational level, but we would expect that if they're in their training in their cadetship, that they do have already some seagoing experience, that they are familiar with electronic navigation systems on board. They had a look, they have had some courses delivered to them a little bit, and perhaps some also academic studies. So they are familiar with the industry. And the intention behind this package was to really put the foundation, a laid foundation for students to appreciate the importance of the data collection. What kind of data is collected on board, how is it collected, and then also how it is communicated to the shore side, to identify if there's any problems or errors with the equipment, identify those problems, be able to sort them, or if that beyond their abilities, how they can once again get assistance from shore. And last but not least, we just wanted them to know, like, really better understanding all the IT systems on board. We don't want them to be IT, but to really get that to the next level of their digital skills, to be more familiar, more conversant, and more comfortable with the technology very early in their career, which essentially will provide the foundation for, and maybe inspire them to learn a little bit more about digital systems on board. The second package, Digital Skills 2, is essentially maritime cybersecurity. I know that some of you who are in the educational sector might say, well, there's lots of cybersecurity courses available now, so what's the difference? Why are you offering an educational package related for that? Well, we do expect that this course might eventually come more and more into play. We do not know, obviously, what STCW is going in the next revision will tell us as a mandated course, but perhaps maritime cybersecurity could be there, or some of the learning outcomes could be integrated, like ISM is now a part of the mandatory requirement there, cybersecurity management. So we feel that this is becoming more and more part of the curricula. So we want to make it really accessible to everyone, not a standalone short course, but something that you can have a look and integrate within your system. We also make sure that it's very practical and there's lots of case studies. We inspire you to use case studies, but at the same time, I think the other value of the cybersecurity course is what Hans in his first presentation today alluded to. Basically, we do understand that there are lots of implications from what we do on board to commercial obligations of the ship owner, to their responsibilities with the third parties, to insurance. And we wanted to really step beyond just maybe cyber hygiene, and we wanted to develop that understanding among the learners of the importance of cybersecurity for a variety of stakeholders and companies. Now moving on, so what the green skills are about. We basically knew that this will be on the agenda of the SkillSea very early, even before the package has commenced, but now we have collected the data and we were able to identify more specifically what are the gaps and then break it down into 2 packages. Once again, SkillSea Green Skills 1 is more on operational level, while Green Skills 2 is a managerial level, what we use on the STCW here. SkillSea 1 is aimed at providing students with an understanding of a broad, first, international agenda, what is happening internationally within the IMO, what are the long-term plans and commitments. So maybe not necessarily we know all the technical answers and not all the technical solutions are there, but students will be able to understand what are the aims and objectives. And from that on, we wanted to bridge that gap and provide a link to shipboard operations, but also to provide understanding how shipping is related to climate change. Because we know there is a climate change, but at the same time, what seafarers need to do about climate change? How is the shipping contributing to climate change? And while all those shipboard operations now are changing in particular direction. And from there, we go into energy efficiency, so the students have understanding of that. We speak a little bit more about data collection, but now it's not digital, it's more related to the environmental aspects. So how is data collected, monitored, reported to various governmental agencies in European level, on IMO level, some examples on maybe national level. And then obviously, what are the technical, operational, market-based measures that are available. So the course is really like a broad, but at the same time providing a good flavor and a good broad understanding of what is going on currently within the industry. Green Skills 2 is more aimed at managerial level and getting that kind of link between operations and management, maybe more related to using now the data and the performance data for understanding of the fleet performance and how that could be managed. Moving on, our STEM package is more related to allowing learners to develop problem-solving skills, and not necessarily. We do have very strong STEM agendas across our jurisdictions, and they're taught at schools. They are already in the curriculum, but what we wanted to do with this package is really inspire learners to use math, to use their knowledge of physics, to shipboard problems, to solve shipboard problems. Then we have 3 more packages. Leadership is currently still under development. I didn't have much of opportunities yet to have a glance through what is happening there, but I've just seen some of the comments coming through, and there's quite a lot of understanding that leadership has to change, and there will be some aspects that leaders need to inquire upon. So we are looking into what that would look like. Entrepreneurship and innovation. This package is now. We want to provide more of an understanding how this innovation is going to be now in life and roles of all of us. And we thought that if we provide a package which allows students to understand, okay, something is changing, so how? Then project management, how can they introduce the change? How they can engage stakeholders in communication? How they can assess technical feasibility? How they can look at environmental performance, or broadly just sustainability, and include some social aspects of that. Sort of perhaps a toolkit for maybe more people being entrepreneurs and more people being innovators and more people being able to embark into this change. And obviously, sort of underpinning all of those packages is trainer manual, which will allow lecturers, trainers, curriculum managers like myself have a bit of understanding how they would be using those packages and what is the flexibility that is available with them. Now, I just once again reiterating that this is all draft, so all of these things are still, some of them are almost finished, some of them are finished, some of them are at the early stage. So perhaps I would put that kind of a disclaimer that when in a year time when the project is finished and you log in, you will see the final result, but that's where we are at the present moment of time. Now, just a brief like a dive into a couple of those packages. So I have already summarized to you what the digital seafarer is about. So it's really, our intention is understand the infrastructure on board the modern ship, be able to assess data and act upon it. We provide some recommendations surrounding the mode of delivery, and we suggest that this could be either fully e-learning. We provide some recommendations surrounding that. You can also use this package for what we say directed study in a classroom. It is still quite, students are learning online using resources and materials, but there are some directed blended learning opportunities when they can maybe debrief and discuss and have some exercise on a simulator. Or it could also be suitable for onboard learning and develop as an onboard training. The whole package is only 21 guided learning hours, or maybe some of you use contact hours, yes, as a terminology, but this is the duration of the course. And the target group, the intention is approximately EQF level 4-5. They could be in training on operational level, but something around that level. Now, I think if there are lectures, they will be quite curious to know what is the syllabus. So this is just a quick run through and to demonstration. I'm not going to read or explain everything in details, but just to have an understanding of the value that the package offers is that kind of syllabus, and that each of those bullet points is further broken down. So as an example, there is a diagnostic assessment. We understand that digital skills will be quite different across maybe even learners in the same classroom. Some of them would be very familiar and very tech savvy. Others need a bit of assistance. So we emphasize the use of diagnostic assessment, and we provide in our toolbox an example of one that you can use and adjust if required. Obviously, all the topics that you see currently in the syllabus, there is a bit of a breakdown into what is expected to be delivered, and some of them are supplemented with even PowerPoints or reading lists and things like that. High reliance on a case scenario, so after students have received the basic understanding, we want all of that to be really utilized, looking at case scenarios on board, and we even propose and offer you a final quiz. So as you can see, it's quite elaborate and quite detailed number of information there. Now, looking into the second package, it's environmentally friendly ship operations. I also mentioned the scope and the intended learning outcomes, but we felt that this one has to be delivered face-to-face. We do know that there's lots of things that we can move online, but when it comes to the environmental topics and awareness and appreciation and engaging fully into those, we felt that it has to be delivered face-to-face. This particular course or package is looking at approximately 36 guided learning hours, and the target group is still operational level. They still can be in training, but we would expect more seat time. We would expect a little bit more of a academic studies that they have done to really be able to understand all of those. Maybe if we are talking about, some of the operational measures that are there, that they are able to fully engage with that. Or when we are talking about energy efficiency and some of the topics surrounding engineering, they might already have some underpinning knowledge. So that's our second package. And now talking about the syllabus, you can see on your screen, not going to stop much, but that's just a breakdown into how all of those lessons are designed and developed. Yeah. So you can see the topics there. Approximately, I think 10, 11 lessons or something like that. And now the final package, I decided instead of boring you with talking about it, I'll really demonstrate you the results of piloting. The piloting is still ongoing, so there's piloting activities happening in other countries, but one of the partners, my institution, Fleetwood Nautical Campus, have already finished cybersecurity. So we filmed the session when they were receiving their certificates. We issued them cybersecurity certificate, and we have interviewed people. So I'll invite you now to watch the voice of the lecturer who used the package and voice of the students who received the course.
Using the SkillSea materials was really helpful for developing the cybersecurity package, because we got access to a lot more expertise than we would if we were only developing it internally using our own experience and field of knowledge. By bringing in this knowledge and resources that have been recommended by professionals from all sorts of maritime related career backgrounds, it's really helpful to inform your own delivery and open your eyes to areas of industry that you might not have thought of instinctively. It was really helpful for directing my sort of professional updating to be prepared to teach this course. Both the resources which it included and the suggested lesson plans and scheme of work But those resources in turn were also pointing me in the right direction to do my own wider reading as well. And I think that that's really important in an academic context, that the resources you got aren't giving you the complete answer, but they're also signposting you for more information. It's designed to be flexible. So the way that I'm teaching here at Fleetwood Nautical Campus, teaching to cadets, many of whom have no or very little sea experience, and are sort of really only at the start of their careers, that I'm using the same educational packages that will be going to people in universities, in workplaces, teaching people with a lot more educational background in the field, as well as maybe a lot more industry knowledge with lots of different objectives that they may be trying to fulfill with that educational package.
The Maritime Cybersecurity course is delivered over a number of online and offline lessons, which gives you a good pace, both to go in depth into the topics and also to give you time to learn the content.
I'm very confident that this course has prepared us well for our careers, since the industry is moving forward in an increasingly technological manner, and with this course we'll be able to prevent a lot of cybersecurity threats from occurring and threatening our day-to-day ship activities.
Any kind of certification helps, and this will just help protect any company and also protect me, and gives me more to bring to the table for an employer.
So hopefully you were able to hear and see everything clearly. So just in summary, if I would once again to say, do you think you should have a look at the SkillSea packages? Why you would wish to use them? Firstly, I think they've been designed very carefully and with a lot of attention being paid on piloting as well. So all the learning outcomes are carefully aligned to activities that are taking place in the classroom, have been carefully aligned to the syllabus and lesson plans. There have been lots of debates among the practitioners, and hopefully that result is something that you could tap on. But I think it also important to emphasize that the packages can be flexible, so you cannot use it as an inspiration for integrating it into your curriculum. And I think that most importantly, if you wish to contact us, and if you wish to even pilot some of the packages, or you want to integrate it into your curriculum, I think it really also benefits us, because we who have developed and who are interested in delivering programs which are future centered, we want to tap on that collaboration and best practice, and we want to share that experience and be able to learn together and keep up to date together, because that's not an easy exercise, is it? So if you are interested, please feel free to email me. You can see my details, or one of the emails of the colleagues, and they will redirect it. So I hope that was useful.
Well, thank you, all speakers. Unfortunately, we have only 2 minutes left in our meeting. So I'll go very briefly to the questions. There are a few technical questions. Well, all presentations will be put on our website and will be sent to all participants in the meeting as well. There's one important question I saw, which is about, and I would like to ask Hans Petter to answer that. And the question is, what should be the competences of future maritime leaders, specifically regarding digitalization? So which competences do future maritime leaders require, considering advancements in digitalizations?
That was a very hard question. I think it is absolutely needed a level in addition to STCVW minimum, and exactly the content of this level is very hard to say, because I think this extra competence have to be distributed among several actors. We have now talked about cybersecurity, that is one aspect, but also leadership skills with a kind of distributed crew part of the crew will be in control centers and ship owner office, and part of the crew will be on board. So it is also some digital skills needed to handle this type of teams, distributed teams. So it will be several things. I think I'm not able to give very sharp definition of this. You can just see the last year of two with COVID-19, how the huge change in technology and opportunities to deal with teams and humans spread all over the world. So I think it will be so many fast changes that we have to adapt to new technologies more or less continuously some years.
Okay, well, thank you very much. If I'm looking at our timetable for the meeting, we were supposed to finish at 11 o'clock. I propose that we will consider the different questions separately from this meeting. We will answer them in an email as far as possible, of course, and you will get the answers or our opinions, if necessary, by email with the different presentations we will send you as well. I thank you very much for your presence during this seminar. I can already announce that this specific seminar will be repeated in January, and we are aiming at organizing new seminars later on in 2022. Again, thank you for your attention. Thank you for all speakers, and we hope to see you in a new seminar again. Thank you very much.